Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Nessa Storm and I'm back today with a very special video. This is a topic that I've been very nervous to share about, but I finally gathered up the courage to record this video and share with you all today. So I'm going to be speaking a little bit about my fitness journey over the past year. But before I get started, make sure you are subscribed to my channel so you can be the first to know when I post all of my videos, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with anyone you think may find it helpful or interesting. So to get started, I'm going to share with you a little bit of the progress that I've made over the past year. So in total, from last June, I've lost 50 pounds. And yeah, that's like my main goal. I have other measurements that I kept track of over the past year as well, but I'll just share the 50 pounds with you all. So just a little bit of the motivation that really got me on track and to stick with my goals over this past year. I've always been relatively healthy and pretty athletic, but I've never been consistent enough to the point where you look at me, you can tell that I ate healthy and I worked out or anything like that. So I always told myself that, okay, once I graduate from high school, once I graduate from college, once I start working, get into my career, I'll then have time to go to the gym regularly and get on track with my health and with my fitness. And really, I was just procrastinating. I was never consistent, and I always made excuses for why I didn't have the time or why I just wasn't in the perfect space in my life to start getting on track with my fitness. It took me my last year of my graduate program to really have the revelation that if I just keep putting this off, I'm just gonna never get started. I'm never gonna be consistent with any of my goals. So I just needed to start then and there. I wanted to get myself in a healthy place before I graduated. So the summer leading up until my last year of graduate school is when I really sat down and told myself that I needed to make a plan and stick with it. My initial goals, mainly it was just to lose weight. The weight I was at, I wanted to lose 45 pounds to get to my goal weight. That was the weight that I set for myself. I said, I think if I get to this weight, I'll be happy. To talk about how I accomplished my goal over the year, I will speak about my training cycles as well as how my nutrition varied across the year. The first quarter of the year, which was 3 months, so June through August, September-ish, because I started in the middle of June, kind of. This was a cut. Basically, my main goal was to just lose weight. Training-wise, I was just focused on getting in the habit of working out every day or just having some type of activity to get me moving each day. And during this time is when I really made working out a non-negotiable. So there's nothing that could pop up during the day, that could pop up during the week that would prevent me from getting in my workout that week or that day. As far as the types of workouts I did, I always warmed up with some sort of cardio. I did a workout and then I cooled down with more cardio. So I did 4 resistance training workouts throughout the week and 2 days where I went to the track and did sprints and different track drills and running and stuff. And for each of my workouts, my cardio goal was to burn between 300 and 400 calories on whatever machine I wanted to use. So for my warm-up, if I was doing legs that day, I might do 50 calories on the Stairmaster and then at least 250 calories on the elliptical or treadmill after my workout was done. As far as nutrition, I really cut back on my calories. I was not eating any processed carbs. So the only carbs I was eating were beans and potatoes, basically. So no processed carbs whatsoever. This is when I really started tracking my intake through MyFitnessPal, and I was eating around 1,300 calories per day. That is not a lot, especially working out 6 times a week. But yeah, so like I said, my main focus for these first 3 months or so were to just lose weight, didn't care how it came off. Yeah, so my eating was basically just protein, a lot of veggies. Throughout this first phase, this first quarter of the year, which was the summertime, I lost a total of 25 pounds. So I was definitely on track for my goal. My goal was to lose weight. I was losing weight, and that's what I did that summer. I was just putting in work all summer, staying focused, not making any excuses for not doing what I need to do, and it paid off. So then by the time the semester started, I had already developed the habit of working out when I needed to, stick it to my plan, not making any sorts of excuses. So from about October to December is when I switched into a bulk. This is mainly because during that semester I was working and I worked with food and I run my business where I also cooked. So it was pretty difficult for me to resist eating whatever food was already prepared, whether at work or whether I was just running my own dinners and things of that sort. So it was just easier to transition from the cut to the bulk because now I had meals where there were high calories. During this whole bulking period, I added on 5 pounds and I lost 2 inches off my waist. And these were very good numbers. They made me feel good about what I was doing because the first quarter I was not really losing inches off my waist. My body composition was not changing much. I could tell that I was losing weight, but I couldn't tell that I was toning up or anything like that. Also, during this bulk phase, my focus shifted from building habits to learning to trust my body, mainly because during the bulk or during any bulk in general, you are going to be lifting weights. You're going to be progressively overloading your lifting sessions, and I was lifting a lot of weight. Like I've always been naturally strong, naturally athletic. So when I started lifting consistently, I clearly saw that I was going to be lifting several hundred pounds each week. And at first that made me very nervous because I didn't trust my body enough to complete these workouts, to complete these lifts. During this time, during this bulk is when I really started to learn about my body, started to learn about what my body was capable of, and really learning to trust my body. During this bulk period, I did 3 lifts per week. Mondays were always my leg days where I focused on my squats and then did other leg exercises. Wednesdays were like my upper body and back days because at this point I was still very nervous about working out and lifting for upper body just because I am very top heavy. I have very broad shoulders, so I didn't want to throw off my aesthetics that much into I was not trying to accentuate my upper body or my shoulders whatsoever. So I only did upper body once a week. And then Fridays was another lower body day where I focused on glutes and my deadlifts. I would say this was a very fun period for me. I was really learning about powerlifting in general, learning about weightlifting, and like I said, learning to trust my body and see what I could do each week or every other week, depending on how my program was set up. When I would get a new max, I would be very excited. I would be very proud of myself. Not only was I seeing progress in my body, but I saw progress with my lifts because each time when you lift and you can lift more weight, when you lift more weight, you want to figure out how much you can really push it. And that was very great for me because I'm a numbers person. And when I can sit down and look over the numbers over the last couple of weeks and see them going up and up and up, I just was happy. I don't know what else to say. My cardio during this time was all over the place. I normally did like 5 to 10 minutes for my warm up. And then after, depending on how intense the lift was and how my eating was for that day, because if I didn't have a lot of energy or if I just felt sluggish because I ate too much, then I would do a walk or elliptical or something like that after my lift. But I didn't really stick to any of my days that were supposed to be dedicated to cardio. And I think had I done that, I would have definitely seen faster progress. My nutrition during this time also was not strict, as I kind of mentioned before. I was just eating what was accessible and trying not to indulge too much, but definitely indulged a lot. I think just about every week I had like ice cream, like Alfredo, and all these foods that I didn't eat over the summer. So that is also probably why, you know, my progress is a little slower. But at the end of the day, this was a bulk, so calories were calories at this point in time. So the next quarter, which was about mid-December through the end of April, early March, that was pretty much a free-for-all. I started working out abs more consistently. I always hated abs because I have very weak abs, so I never liked doing those exercises. I was just exploring more lifts, and this is the time period when I actually started to train my upper body. I just got over the fact that, you know, if I get more muscular up top, that's just what's gonna have to happen. I was getting to the point where I was realizing that my upper body was not able to support my lower body lifts, like my squats and my deadlifts, just because I was weak up top. My grip strength was terrible. So if you know anything about deadlifts, a lot of times you can lift way more than your hands can hold onto the bar. So my deadlifts were pretty bad. Like I squatted more than I deadlifted at one point just because my grip strength was weak and I had really no upper body strength. I also started to take my mobility more seriously during this period because, as you know, if you always have tight muscles, you can injure yourself or you may not be able to lift the weight as easily if you just cannot move your body properly, if you don't have full range of motion in all of your systems. I also started yoga, which is very relaxing, and it really helped with my flexibility and my mobility. Training wise, during this period, I was lifting 4 days per week. Monday for legs, I would focus on squats still. Tuesday, I would focus on bench press. Thursday was deadlift, and Friday was cleans. This is also when I started running more, because I noticed that for any lower body day, the next day I would be less sore, my muscles would be less tight if I just jogged a little after. I was really getting in the hang of balancing lifting and cardio. And then for nutrition, this is when I actually started to track my intake accurately. I had a goal for 1600 calories per day, which I normally went over, but this time I was focused on just accurately tracking my intake. This is when I got my food scale, so anytime I would measure my food and enter it into MyFitnessPal, it was actually accurate. So that in itself brought my calories down, because like I said before, I wasn't accurately measuring my food, so I was always over. So anytime I made like a shake with peanut butter, it was probably at least 4 tablespoons. So this time I was putting in exactly 2 tablespoons. And since I was lifting 4 times a week now, this is when I really started to focus on making sure I had adequate protein intake. During this time period, I lost 5 pounds. I lost inches off my waist specifically, and also my appearance started shifting. So I knew my body composition was going in the right direction. I just wasn't losing weight. And that's to be expected when I wasn't really on a strict meal plan. I also started working out with other people. Basically all my life I've just been so insecure that I never wanted to work out with other people, just because I didn't think I could keep up or anything. But this time is when I started doing like a workout, at least one workout each week with someone else, and that really was fun. Like I would say this is the period where I really started having fun working out. It wasn't like, oh, I gotta go work out, I have goals. It was just like, I'm about to go work out because this is what I do, this is what I like to do, and that's what I'm gonna do. That period was up until the beginning of March, and then like boom, like the world stopped. So I was really devastated when I found out that all the gyms were closing. I was really sad, because I was like, wow, like I'm really just getting to the hang of things where I'm having fun, and now I can't go to the gym anymore. I can't lift weights anymore. So what am I gonna do? Since I built up this habit in the first quarter or the first few months of my journey where working out was a non-negotiable, I knew that I had to make something work. I couldn't just sit down and say, oh, well, can't lift weights, there's nothing I can do. So I'm very grateful that I took those first few months to really focus on my goals and to really make sure that I was going to achieve my goals no matter what. Since no gyms were open at this time, I had to start running. Inherently, this became a cut. I call it a Corona cut. I thought that was funny. I never really paid attention to aerobic training just because I didn't like running. I didn't like being outside. I didn't like everything moving everywhere. I never liked people watching me run. This is not an activity that I enjoyed doing whatsoever. Obviously, I was bad at it because I never practiced it. I never really tried it consistently. So I started researching more about running and aerobic training in general. And once I got comfortable with all the terms or all the concepts is when I made my running training program. 1 long run per week, 2 easy runs with a HIIT workout, 2 interval days where it was interval training. So one day would be like short intervals as in sprints, or the other ones were longer intervals at different paces that I developed, and then another recovery run. I was running, I was building up my aerobic base. For the whole month of April, each week I did a check-in, and that check-in would consist of a timed mile run, how many push-ups I could do in a minute, how many sit-ups I could do in a minute, and I think how long I could hold a plank for. These check-ins really kept me on track with my program, because if you know anything about running, or if you run yourself, you know if you slack off or if you just don't run for too long, it's very hard to get back where you left off. I remember at one point in my life just being happy to get a mile under 12 minutes. So when I started doing these check-ins, I set my goal to have my mile under 9 minutes, because I was assuming I was at like 10 or 11 minutes per mile. So the first check-in where I actually timed my mile was actually about 9 minutes 45 seconds. So this really surprised me, because I did not think that I was that fast at that point. But once I saw that my mile was already at 9 minutes 45 seconds, my next goal was to get it under 8.5 minutes. I think I got to like 8:33, which was like close enough for those 5 weeks, because after those 5 weeks, I kept running. As for nutrition during Corona cuts, I was eating around 1,500 calories per day. I wasn't too strict on my macros. I was aiming to get over 100 grams of protein per day. And I wasn't too strict on carbs or fat during this time also because I was moving out my apartment at the end of May. So I wanted to make sure that I wasn't wasting any food that was in the pantry or in the freezer. So I was just eating whatever, but making sure I was staying around that 1,500 and getting at least 100 grams of protein per day. I decided that once I moved out, that in June I would just start a blank slate nutrition wise and I would start keto. I did that because I knew that I wouldn't have food at that place. So when I went grocery shopping, I just stuck to a keto grocery list so that I had no choice but to eat keto, so I couldn't cheat. And I didn't cheat for like the first month and a half, and then later on I just started going out a little bit more, so I was eating whatever. But at home I stuck to keto. During that Corona cuts period, even though it's still kind of going on, I lost about 20 pounds. So yeah, that's basically my fitness journey over the past year. So just to recap, kind of the first couple months was just getting into the habit, making working out a non-negotiable, something that I had to do. So that was really the time period where I was really solidifying my commitment to my goals. Then the next few months was a bulking period where I was just learning about lifting and learning about my body and how much strength it had and how much I was capable of. And then the next few months, I was really at the point where I could enjoy working out. I was enjoying the process. I was having fun. And this is, I had my commitment, I had my motivation, I had the trust in my body I needed. So now I could have fun. And then the last few months have been focusing on cardio, and that just came with really learning to be, once again, more confident in myself, but more from a mental aspect. So like when I was bulking, that was really from a physical aspect of trusting my physical body. But for the cardio, for the last few months, I've really been focused on learning to trust myself and my mind and making sure that I'm not holding myself back with negative mindsets, because with running, a lot of it is mental. But the last few months has really been more mental than anything. Learning to speak to myself nicely, learning to be kind to myself, learning to be patient, and learning how to push myself and motivate myself. That is the past year. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope everything was clear. And if there are any questions you guys have, just leave a comment. Or if there are any other topics related to health and a fitness journey, comment them down below. Share this video to anyone you may think will find it helpful or you may think will enjoy it. Yeah, so make sure you comment, subscribe, and share this video. And thank you for watching if you made it all the way through. Like I said, this is a very touchy, personal, this is a very emotional journey. So I'm very excited now to share, even though I've been putting it off for a while, but now you have it.